Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now, we are joined by Brian's Logic, Paul, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello, everyone. You'll have to excuse me, my voice is going. Sorry.
Oh, no. That's terrible. Terrible, Mike, and your voice is fading.
It's more my voice today. That's all it is. It'll come around when I talk a bit more.
We'll have to lean on the people of Discord server, so we're going to be leaning on you a little bit more for housekeeping today, if that's all good by you.
Sounds good.
Fair enough. Right, Apocryphonic, at least I got one person's attention. Excellent. Any evidence? It's good enough. I'll get some answers, that's all I need. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon formerly known as Earth curve.
No.
According to Planet Peterson, we wouldn't have night or day without that sphere edge.
We wouldn't have night or day without the sphere edge. Yeah, he had a diagram of a depiction of a local sun. Now, I said at the time, it wouldn't be something I would be engaged in, that argument. I mean, if he put it to me as a straw man, I'd just point it out as a straw man. I'm not claiming that. But the guy who's defending that position, saying, look, the sun's like a torch. Okay, yeah, it's a bit ancient in terms of our argumentation, but fine, that's what he's put to him. And the guy's like, no, it would fill the whole Earth. Sunlight goes everywhere. Then he brings up a diagram showing a local sun moving around on an azimuthal plane. And he's not saying a word. It's like, there it is doing what the guy says it could do. Don't get me wrong, I would never, ever ascribe myself to that model. But the guy who was debating was, and there it is as he Google searches it on the fly. The horizon's not Earth curve. Any scientific
That was
evidence?
one of the best.
Go on.
Yeah, I just want to say that was one of the best shows in a while that you did on Planet Peterson, because that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Do you know what I mean? He's so confident in ignorance. He doesn't understand his own paradigm, even attack some other paradigm. He's horrendous.
Yeah, he also represents the projection that I receive for the claims that I get put to me that I'm muting my guests. You know, yesterday, for example, there were certain points in the discussion where Witsit is ignoring the point that's been made to him. I've actually trimmed it out as a video to make it nice and concise, where Witsit's saying you can't use the horizon to establish horizontal. You measure your plane out to the horizon and things of that nature. So that when it comes to the point, he says, oh, yeah, I think it's a great argument. Right at the end. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying other people would put this position to you. It's like, no. Well, in a nicely, concisely edited together video, you'll hear him say quite specifically, in my opinion, you can't use it. It moves. Oh, really? When you use it to establish a horizontal plane of reference. Now, we didn't get, for your benefit, Brian, into the wrangle-dangle of dip correction. We mentioned it a few times. But ultimately speaking, their objection was to say that if you're on land and you're observing the horizon out at sea from the land, then it will move up and down with the weather. You're like, yeah. But when you're on a boat, you establish how high you are of the water, and then you set out on the water, which may be moving up and down, but your dip correction is going to remain the same with respect to how high you are above the water that you're on. And your horizon's represented with the water that you're on when you make that dip correction. And that's the tool that you've got, and the best thing you've got to offer you, something to establish a horizontal plane of reference to make measurements with, will be the horizon because that's precisely what's used. But the objection is, well, it moves. It's like, yeah, when you're looking on land, you're probably not going to be using a mariner's sextant, as was pointed out by Rakia Life. But again, he did disclaim that halfway through the conversation he had joined and therefore didn't appreciate that we're specifically detailing what you will use the horizon for. And in that instance, it's exampled with a mariner's sextant. So obviously you're not going to be using the best tool if you're on land doing what he does, building stuff. No, you might not want to use a mariner's sextant, but the clue is in the mariner bit when you're talking about what the horizon will be utilised for, in this case, establishing Earth as flat, measuring Earth flat. Objected to by Whitsitt because the horizon moves. It's like, yeah, well, observing it closer, this just went through 3 years ago by 10th Man. Hope he's out there listening. Hope you're well. It doesn't matter. If you've got a really foggy day and the horizon's right up close and you can't see hardly anywhere, you've still got a horizon, but it's just not got anything beyond it that you could see visually, right? You can still use that horizon to establish a horizontal plane of reference. Likewise, if the horizon's a black swan day, crystal clear, and you can see for miles, you still use the exact same horizon to establish horizontal. Doesn't make any difference. It's always going to establish a horizontal plane of reference. That's what it's used for. That's what the tool does. Doesn't matter if it's foggy and the horizon's closer, but they're like, it moves up and down. That's their argument.
Yeah, that's a completely terrible argument, because the horizon, when you're out at sea, you don't notice any up or down to the sea level, because whatever tide is moving, especially if you're out off of Australia or somewhere where there's hardly any tidal change to really talk about in a lot of places south of the equator. Like it doesn't matter whether there's a small tidal change or a big tidal change, like off of the coast of Ireland, for instance. Once you're out to sea, if the water rises, then the boat rises with it. If the water drops, then the boat drops with it. Your height of eye stays exactly the same. So the correction never changes. I think a lot of people think that people use a sextant, they take an elevation angle, and then they measure the amount of dip. Because ballers have it in their head. I've had one of them only the past few days. They think you're measuring dip. You're not. The measurement happened at port. It's the height of eye. And it's a predetermined thing. So based off that height of eye, it's already calculated the amount of dip will be the amount that you will subtract from your angle. So
yeah,
if you do 200
I'll just give you
sightings-
some props because I was kicking myself. Obviously I've been editing that video today, so I've been listening back to it. And you were sorely missed because there was that specific point did not make it in. So yeah, what Brian's just said, I don't know how clear it made out to the audience. I'm sorry, Brian, but I heard it, and I know what you're driving at as well. Brian and I go back historically with a major argument over this because it's a minor correction, which it is, but it is a correction that is absolutely required, and that's to say, as Brian just did, that at port you'll figure out how high you are, where you're going to measure from on the deck. So if you're going to be holding the sextant at X point, you go, right, let's figure out how high at this point we are above the deck. Because that is going to be calculated from that point forward for the entire journey as the dip correction for you specifically on that boat to make that measurement. And it'll never change. Now, as Brian's saying, well, they infer that there's an alteration that's going to be made along the way because of the globe Earth. No, it's one time correction that you're going to calculate at the start of the journey based on your height above the deck, the water that you're going to be moving along, because that water is going to be used to reference the horizontal plane that you're traveling along when you look at the horizon, which represents the point that deck that you are above meets the sky to your perception. Very useful as a tool to establish a horizontal plane of reference. Now, the nitty-gritty specifically of that dip correction did not come up. And if QE's listening, he put a note in one of the chat feeds. Why didn't you get anybody to define elevation angle? Well, at some stage,
why didn't he get here? Why wasn't he here?
Why wasn't he here? That's not.
Yeah, he started a big ruckus and then he was gone.
You QE?
Correct.
He
QE.
had stuff to do.
No, that's not fair. That's
This
fine.
takes precedence.
Nobody's. No. Absolutely not. Nobody is under any obligation to be here whatsoever. What are you talking about?
And one more quick thing.
Anyway,
one more quick thing.
you've just completely segued from Brian's fantastic point, which didn't get through
Okay,
because
sorry.
he wasn't
Go
here.
ahead.
And I'm not as capable as he when it comes to dip correction. Now, I know I'm not as capable as he. Originally, I told him it wasn't important, and we had a blazing row for about 6 straight months over it, with me saying it's such a small correction it doesn't matter. Just take the line that you take towards the horizon as being the horizontal that you need to establish without any correction. When you're above the flat earth that it is that you are measuring, you're measuring the earth. That's why my argument's so strong. And Brian's going blue in the face to make my argument stronger, to make it clear that what you're actually referencing is the flat earth. What's the correction for? To get you to the flat earth because you're above it. That's what one of the limitations is bestowed upon the mariner's sextant, unless you're in a rubber dinghy, which is a QE extension of that exact argument. But at the start of this process, I didn't know. I thought it wasn't that important. Brian knew it's the key to proving Earth itself is what's being measured as flat, and that correction is to the flat Earth that's being measured. It's critical. Now I can give him props now, but back in that debate, the specific notation that you're making one correction from port didn't make it in. It would have done if Brian was here. He's better than me, certainly at this dip correction specifically. And he's nagged me and gone, you've got to include this. And in that regard, hopefully when you listen back, Brian, you'll be proud because I do drop it in at every key moment that it needs to be dropped in.
Well, to just add to something about the dip correction and why I argued for it so much is that the horizon you're referencing, the correction you're making, if you look at the tables, that is not a globe's geometric horizon. You're not referencing a globe's geometric horizon. You're referencing an horizon that the correction matches that horizon is in a horizontal from the water underneath your boat. So that's the point. The correction you're making, it doesn't matter if you bring up the line. Let's just say, like, they'll correct the line up mathematically to the eye line, but it doesn't. But this is the thing, and a lot of people don't realize this. For accuracy, the site reduction tables place the vertex not at the eye line, but at the sea level. That means your elevation angle, the adjacent of your elevation angle, is sea level. And when you want to get accuracy, you go to the site reduction tables, and that gives you accuracy. So if you say, I have this angle to this celestial body at this time from, I presume, this position, and the site reduction tables will say, no, it's actually, your actual position is actually here, because the site reduction tables is a database built up over a lot of time. So for the best accuracy, it's when the vertex of the angle and the adjacent of the angle is at sea level for best accuracy. So it means you're measuring the sea level as a horizontal for hundreds and thousands of miles. You know, there's no way around it. The main thing is that you're not referencing a globe's horizon. That's not what you're referencing. And that's what they hate about this, because they can't argue that point. And that's why I argued for it so strongly. And another thing, just to add on to that, as you just brought up earlier, Nathan, when you were saying that the horizon could be right in front of you if it's a really bad weather day, the horizon could be right in front of you, or it could be like a black swan day where it's really clear and you can see the horizon miles and miles and miles away. Now, you don't know how far away the horizon is for either one, so you can't use a distance to the horizon. But they need to use a distance to the horizon. They need to state that because they're at this point, that means the horizon is this far away, their globe's horizon, and then they need to add a load of over 6R to make the horizon come up to match a horizontal plane.
Okay,
that's how ridiculous it is.
There's some background rumblings. I can't believe I'm dealing with this on a live show. We are well aware that Brian's mic, the Discord doesn't like Brian's mic. It just cuts off half of what he says. We're well aware of that. So I can only apologise to those of you in Discord. He is coming through clearly to the audience. He will be coming through clearly to YouTube and Rumble. He's just not clear to Discord. And after 2 hours of faffing with it yesterday, it hasn't made any difference. No matter what button I pressed, no matter what toggle I switched, no matter what line I increased or decreased, nothing fixed Brian's crappy mic and made it so that Discord could hear it. Sorry.
Nathan, it's probably because there's just more crumbs have gotten into the mic since then.
Oh, hold on. I've been waiting in the wings here. I also listened back to the show, Nathan. Number one, when are people going to hold Whitsitt to task? He waits till the end when he's proven wrong, and instead of being humble, he says, that's what I was saying all along. I caught him 3 times yesterday.
Yeah, I've just literally rendered that. I spent 2 or 3 hours editing it this morning. So the start of the video, again, I've done the same trick as I did last time. I did a fairly lengthy edited video, and rather than just chunking out the 45-minute section, I've gone to the extent of putting the effort in to make the middle be the beginning. As stupid as that sounds, it worked last time. People actually loved it. I thought, what a stupid idea. Do you remember me mentioning it, going, I'm going to put out a video. It makes no editorial sense to me, but that's how apparently people like to consume videos. So I did it, and everybody liked the format. Everybody. So I'm like, okay, well, that obviously works. It got more views. So I'll do that again. So I've chunked out Witsit, starting by saying, unequivocally, in my opinion, you cannot prove the Earth is flat with the horizon. Now, he doesn't say it in that exact way. He's got a few caveats and weasel words in there. But it's clear that it's his opinion and that Earth won't be just proven flat with the horizon. That's his opinion. Now, as the conversation progresses, as just pointed out by Neil, he's like, yeah, I think it's a great argument. And I wasn't arguing with you that it wasn't a good argument. I was just saying that other people will have this objection. So I've taken all of that as a combined group of stuff and put it together so that Witsit starts by telling me you can't use the horizon to prove Earth's being measured flat, precisely what it's being used for. And then me detailing how you can use the horizon to measure flat. That's what it's being used for when you point your sextant at it for us and the globers. It's just not a geometric globe horizon that they're establishing a flat plane with when we measure Earth flat with the horizon that you say we can't. Then it becomes someone else's argument that third parties he's representing, as he seems to do. So later he can say I'm strawmanning him when he puts forth that argument on behalf of someone else. But in this case, he hadn't, because it was his opinion that it expressly stated horizon won't be proving Earth's flat. It's the extension beyond that when you make a plane to the horizon. He just doesn't understand how any of it works. And his Dunning-Kruger's led him to disagree with us and tell us, no, in my opinion, horizon won't prove flat Earth measurement. Yeah, it does. And when you're proven wrong, it's suddenly a good argument. So right at the end, it's me saying, yeah, great idea, Witsit, going forth and telling people how Earth's measured flat. It's basically your idea, isn't it? So that's all been chucked together.
That was good how you did that.
I noticed one of his little tricks, I don't know if he's aware of it or not, but is a quick subject change to another subject change, and then he'll reverse his position on the original topic every time.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, like I just illustrated him doing. His position was, can't get a flat Earth proof out of the horizon, it moves. Okay, so your position is, in your opinion, horizon not proving flat Earth, only the line that's extended when you establish a flat baseline that is Earth with the horizon. The extension beyond that flat Earth establishment with a measurement of the horizon with Earth being flat that you say it can't be proving. That extension proves Earth's flat, according to Witsit at the beginning of the discussion. Then it transitions to, no, I'm not saying that, even though he specifically made it clear it was his opinion. His opinion. It's the people he's representing. Then later it's a great argument that he will go forth with after I make it explicitly clear that Earth's measured flat and the horizon's proving it. Suddenly it's a great idea.
His opinion. It's his opinion that it was their opinion, right? So it's just really, really, really convoluted very easily to get it wrong because it's fundamentally pointless what he's doing at the offset.
Let's not focus on how Witsit got it right or wrong. At the end, I got allegiance out of him. He's conceding it's a great idea to go forth on the front foot and say Earth's measured flat. And then he gave a further example. Well, when they, the geodesic surveyors, again, kind of not quite online with what I'm trying to say moving forward into 2024 to start on the front foot and not incorporate a globe undoing in your argument, first and foremost. But he did. He's like, when the geodesic surveyors for a globe measure Earth flat, then they're just measuring it flat, and then after the fact saying that they've measured it at globe shaped. You know, they're not. And it's like, yeah, well, now you're singing from my hymn sheet, because now you're at least starting to realise that you can start with the premise that they also must accept. They also measure it flat. That's always going to be the case for every globe example ever. So if that's the case, and it is, then you as a flat earther don't need any globe, because you will be in agreement, won't you, with the glober if they do come to object to your statement of fact when Earth's being measured flat, because they'll also be measuring it in the same way. They must. Earth is flat. The globe extrapolation came from those measurements. So from that point, the globe debunking bit is redundant. I'm measuring it flat, and that's what I'll tell you I'm doing, because that is what is done. Or say you think it's a globe. Well, let's hear how you think that's the case, and I'll take that example and show you how Earth's measured flat with it. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline or a single point claimed to be tangency?
Well, in that discussion yesterday, we were told that you could get an angle from the surface of any object.
No, not exactly. That was genuinely Whitsitt putting across the objection. He's saying, I don't think it's a strong argument because I get an objection. The objection is, I can get an angle from a curve. My fury is to say, no, that's a stupid objection. A single point won't give you an angle. To claim that you've got dingleberry dangling beneath a flat plane that you're actually measuring and you'll call that a tangent to your globe Earth is not a rebuttal. You've only got a single point on the ground if you're claiming tangency. Well, you're measuring a flat baseline on the ground. Well, it isn't that if you describe it as a tangent, therefore it's not a rebuttal. Therefore, it's absolutely surplus to requirements to bring it up in juxtaposition, as Whitsitt and everybody else up until 2024 has been doing. This is how the globe doesn't work. That's starting from a premise that your opponent is going to be pissed off with. Well, I don't get it. I'm wrong. I've been deceived. I don't like that. You really want to start your opponent's cognition train going on the premise that they've been deceived and they're wrong when you know it'll piss them off? Get agreement. Start with your positive affirmation with a fact that it's measured flat. And nothing else. Don't tell them how they're wrong. They'll be agreeing with you eventually if they do disagree with you. And yeah, you might need a good knowledge of how the globe gets debunked to do that. But you start on the front foot. Earth is measured flat, that's a fact. Whitsitt didn't know that. Hence he's telling me how I don't think the horizon, utilised to establish a horizontal plane of reference, is good for proving Earth is a horizontal plane, when that's precisely what it's used for. Well, we need more confidence in what proves Earth's measured flat. Whitsitt didn't have it, and now he does. Good for him. I've got allegiance from him, so let's not focus on how he did genuinely postulate an objection from people who say you can get a tangent to give you an angle. No, he did genuinely put that forth on behalf, and I had to apologise to him at the end. I'm like, yeah, okay, at one stage you did say this is you putting the devil's advocate position across. Fine. So for me to narc at him that it's not reasonable to juxtapose
Yeah,
it,
you're wrong about that.
just let me get to the end, Neil.
You are wrong.
No. When he juxtaposed it, my objection is its juxtaposition with the globe argument against the flat Earth measurement. He took it as me saying, I'm objecting to your position that you're saying you can get an angle from a single point, when in reality he's postulating our opponent's position in that regard. As I say, I apologise, rightfully so, because I misinterpreted it as him saying that is a reasonable reason to use this in juxtaposition. We were at cross purposes. I'm objecting to him juxtaposing globe with flat Earth when you only need to point out it's measured flat, because that's the fact of the matter. No globe necessary. He's saying, but the objection from the globe is, I'm like, oh. And when he tells me the objection from the globe that a tangent point is a straight line baseline with a GP at the bottom of it as a globe would present, I'm not objecting because of the obviously that's wrong bit that he's like, I know that's wrong too, I'm putting their position. Yeah, we're in agreement in that regard. But why are we juxtaposing it? There's no globe here put in that argument. You're bringing it up to juxtapose it. We should stop doing that in 2024. That's quite complicated to get through in the middle of an argument where Whitsitt thinks I'm bracing against him, telling me you can get an angle from a point of tangency. He knows you can't, I know you can't. But why are we arguing about it is the overarching point, when we could just point out it's measured flat. Done.
Because he stated it is stupid to say you can't get an angle from a curved surface.
Correct.
He specifically said that.
Yeah, but
He said they say that.
Wrong.
He said they
Wrong.
say that, but he went on to point out that when you come to actually practically apply that in reality, it's not accurate. Now, don't get me wrong, he's paralleling that by saying, well, I as a flat earther will also not be able to use the horizon because it isn't accurate. No, that won't parallel, although he tried to. But in that specific regard, he's saying that's what the people of the globe faith say. The parallel's wrong because he's also saying, I parallel where they're wrong with how they can't get a geometric horizon to give them a horizontal plane of reference, neither can we. That's where he's wrong. When in his opinion, the horizon's not going to be usable because it moves to give you a horizontal plane of reference, when, as I say, that's precisely what it's used for. And at the end of the discussion, he conceded what a great argument it was.
Right,
Well-
but you're talking about something else. He said it was stupid to say you couldn't get an angle measurement from any object.
No, he said that.
Correct.
No, he said that.
He did say that.
He said that that's the position people would take. He prefaced it before he said that. So he's put himself into the devil's advocate position and then stated it with his own tongue. So it sounds like he's putting it across. I also mistook that for him saying it, when all I care about is the fact that globe's being juxtaposed at all.
No, you're talking about the argument that he's making about the extension of the line past the horizon is impossible and that their argument is void. But that's different from what I'm talking about.
Well, just to add something there, with it bringing up the tangent plane that the borders will bring up, what a lot of people aren't spotting about that is that if they're bringing up a tangent plane to get their angle, right, and they're trying to claim that it's a horizontal. Now, besides the fact that they can't have horizontals or verticals, right, for this, we just go along with it for a second. Excuse me. If they're using a tangent plane, then where are they taking their dip from? Where's the angle go to? Their angle line. Because that tangent plane has to stretch all the way to the horizon within their paradigm. It has to stretch to the horizon within a paradigm. Because the horizon that's referenced, the dip that's referenced in the almanac is not referencing a globe's geometric edge. So that means their dip involves a horizontal. When they claim a tangent plane, what they're actually saying, it may not be the strongest argument, but what they're actually saying is, we use a horizontal.
Yeah. That's what I tried to get across to the panel yesterday. The guy's asking me, what's the difference when a glober points a sextant at the horizon versus a flat earther? And I'm saying there's no difference because both must acquire a horizontal plane of reference to get the angle. On screen now, you've got the celestial navigation method of figuring out your position by measuring the stars in the sky. You note your time, you measure the angle. That's a guy on a boat with a sextant measuring 3 positions in the sky. What's the difference between a glober on that boat looking at the horizon and establishing horizontal with it to get this line along the base for all of the stars? All of them are horizontal, all of them match, all of them form areas of equal elevation that are all horizontal. Well, does a glober do anything different when he picks up a sextant and points it at the horizon and establishes a line for an angle? No. That we do it, they do it, that's how celestial navigation's done. What's that? Well, where's the difference? They keep asking. Well, the difference is this horizon that the guy on this boat points his sextant at to establish a horizontal plane of reference isn't a geometric globe earth edge falling away from you, or it wouldn't give you a horizontal for it to be an angle. So what's the difference when they both look at the sextant's horizon mirror? Well, the difference is that it's a horizontal plane of reference that's being established always. That's what an angle is. That's what it needs. That's what you're navigating. It's the ground. We're measuring it flat. That's what this tool's for. That's what the horizon's doing. It's not a globe horizon. It's proving Earth's being measured flat for both globe earthers and flat earthers. The difference is they lie to themselves because they think that this line's bending. It isn't, or it wouldn't be an angle. So they're idiots, the globers, because it fails on its arse immediately because it won't give them an angle. If they're looking at a horizon that they think represents the curve of the Earth bending away from them, it certainly won't establish a horizontal plane of reference. Hence we ask Rufy, how's that geometric horizon working out for you, Rufy? Because he and we will look at the horizon and establish Earth as flat. You must to get an angle. There is no way around this. Earth is measured flat.
Well, one thing's for sure, we're all alone.
Good morning, guys.
I don't know.
Hello.
I thought that Jeremy guy with the rise over run understood it. He was just having trouble because he got mixed up with the theodolite. And that's easy to do if you don't understand shoaling effects and things like that.
So did
But
Rakia.
he seemed,
Sorry, go on.
But yeah, there was several people there that seemed to get how important this argument was, and or well, not argument, just this mental position to take that it's flat because you measure it that way.
Yeah, I had a few of them at the end of I thought yesterday was extremely successful because it's all well and good expanding out the audience, asking people to share. We might get more people viewing it from an outside perspective. Inside Earth Awakenings is us. Our peers are there, and having our peers understand this argument, maybe my grandiose ideas of putting this out to people like Dave Weiss in the first instance was just too ambitious. Why? There's fellow peers debating about it, actually debating about it in these servers. And we can go in and say, up until now, we've all argued about how Earth isn't a globe. Well, we need to change our tune. We need to start telling people Earth's measured flat. That should be our opener in every instance. And I don't want to hear, for anybody who's listening to this, other people live on a globe and will tell you, yeah, they will. And if you want to debate that person, you better learn how to debate them here, with the very best arguments you can possibly acquire. But if you just want to know Earth's flat, which I didn't get from any of the shows that I arrived at, all of them labelled Flat Earth in the titles, did any of them prove to me straight off the cuff that Earth's measured flat, like I just did with those three angles that are on screen? This now being a representation of a line of position along a flat baseline. Did I get that from the first, second, third, 300th, 1000th show that I watched labelled Flat Earth? No, I did not. I was still getting more and more angry as I failed to prove with a silver bullet that Earth was measured flat when asked. So I had to debate about things I understood about how the globe didn't work for years and years on end. Now we don't need to do that anymore. It's 2024. What we need to do is understand that Earth is flat, and that should be our starting point. Not understand how the globe doesn't work when they point a sextant at the horizon and it's not Earth curve. Why are we mentioning it? All we're doing is measuring Earth flat, state it as fact, and get on with your day. Now, should a globe cleaver come to Flat Earth debate and tell us that's not the case, we'll have them make their claim, and we'll point out how Earth is measured flat. Because it is. Now, they might tell us, I understand it's measured flat, but it's so big. Yeah, on you go with your religious belief. We've all agreed Earth's being measured flat because it is measured flat for you and me, even though you've got a belief that that's just because it's so big that it's flat, even though that's utterly absurd. You can go on with your belief, but we both agree and both understand that it's measured flat. You just think so biggy it's flatty. I just know it's measured flat, and you also know it's measured flat. So we're all in agreement. No need to debunk any globe assertions that so biggy is flatty is anything other than it being measured flat, because it is, and you agree. Good. That's how we should move forward. Not, oh, by the way, the horizon's not Earth curve, because if it was Earth curve, it wouldn't do X, Y, and Z. Well, that was all well and good in 2023, but 4 years of the Black Swan later, you all know the Black Swan. One last thing that didn't get discussed yesterday with Whitsitt. He asserted that an unfair comparison was made when I say you don't go back knocking on the doors of Scientology if you've left the cult. You don't go back learning advanced Scientology like Xenu, which the lower echelons of Scientologists do not get privy to. So what, when you leave the cult, you need to learn more about Xenu and Thetans, like OT4 level, because you weren't at that, to get away from the cult, because should some of your family members be in that cult, they might tell you that the only reason you're leaving is because you don't understand it, therefore you need to learn more. No, by comparison, that's dealing with fundamentalist religious zealots. In a reality that we currently inhabit 10 years after we've stepped into this subject, there are people who've grown up in a world that haven't been indoctrinated into the globe, as Whitsitt asserted. Now, 10 years ago, that might have been true, Whitsitt, but 2 of them are making a right racket outside my door right now. They haven't grown up in a world where they believe that the world's a spinning ball. They haven't grown up with that fundamentalist religious belief being indoctrinated into them. And there's a whole generation of people making up the numbers currently, the youth, that potentially are in the same boat as my kids. They haven't been brought up with a fundamentalist religious belief that needs undoing at the first opportunity by someone claiming to prove that we're on a flat plane. Just prove we're on a flat plane. if that's what you claim. And tell me how it's not a sphere. I don't need to go through the rigmarole of undoing a religious belief that a good chunk of people now, especially when there's a couple sat out my door, have not grown up believing in. Not anymore. That's not the case in 2024. Right, I am done now.
Yeah, but Nathan, Witzik can never lead with that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he still has this ether to push, so he's never going to go front foot first with Earth is measured flat. That's the bottom line.
I can tell you why, too. Because measurement is the beginning and end of what is in the physical world.
Yep.
Measurement. If I measure a 2x4, right, to be 12 inches long, is anyone going to tell me that 2x4 is a ball?
It's absurd.
That's right. It's absurd.
So therefore, should I spend quite a significant time describing the 2x4 as not a ball and how it couldn't be a ball?
Or should you have to worry about people that are going to come up to you and claim it's a ball? No.
And if they
Just
do,
measured it.
if they do, I'll, as you were just about to say, sorry, I cut you off. We measure it flat, the 2x4 and Earth. Here's an example. What's that? You say so biggy, it's flatty. So measured flat then. Yeah, well, okay, off you go with your globe belief. I'm not interested in that. You don't need to convert me. And I'm certainly not going to proactively start describing your religion and how it don't work. Not interested, I'm afraid. Yeah, I may have been interested for 9 years of this subject matter. Not anymore. I've got the best brains in the subject debunking the globe and have been for years. Go and look at Black Swan. You want to see how the globe gets ripped apart? It's dead. Maybe not for the zealots, but is that my primary concern? I don't care about the zealots. They're zealots. Likewise, if I'm going to try and appeal to a Scientologist in good standing that they're not supposed to believe in Xenu, do you think I'm going to be successful? No, they're concerned about their Scientology in good standing, as opposed to whether or not I can prove Xenu doesn't work for whatever logical consistency argument I can present to the die-hard Scientologist. No, I don't need to do that. On the contrary, when I describe how volcanoes work, even if it's to a Scientologist, I'll just describe how a volcano works. And then that'll be it. That'll be the end of it. I don't need to describe how it doesn't have thetans in it just because I'm talking to a zealot. Now, if the zealot then says, oh, no, it does have thetans in it, that's a different matter, isn't it? I haven't taken the step forward into debunking, by comparison, obviously, to heliocentrism, Xenu and Scientology, when I only have a necessity to describe how a volcano works. Yeah, I don't need, because I am now a volcanologist or a person who investigates how volcanoes behave, I don't need, as a person in that primary field research, to tell you how it doesn't work in Scientology just because I used to be a Scientologist. And there might be Scientologists who have an objection. Yeah, there might be. Doesn't change how a volcano works, and it doesn't change how Earth is measured flat. For everybody.
Imagine being a Glober in 2024 and your argument is really the Earth is curved, but it's just so big that you can't see it or measure it.
Pathetic,
Imagine.
right?
Imagine.
Not only that, you had a lot of issues yesterday. You had people arguing over the fact that freaking there's a downward bias. Oh, my goodness. My head was spinning. And I went back and I listened and I got pissed off all over again.
Did you see the point where I was hovering over the eject button for you?
No, but I heard what you said.
Yeah, there was a point where I literally went into the Hangout, went onto your icon, and I'm like, shall I remove him? And then I said, this is your last chance, Neil.
Well, I removed myself 3 times. I did. I left 3 times.
That's the right attitude. You learn that from Arwen, and it's the right attitude. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. You know, that's the best thing to do.
Not that I can't stand the heat. I just felt like they were coming at you from all angles, holding you to task about stuff from 10 years ago. I didn't think a few of them were genuine. And it would have went a lot better if that guy Merle wasn't there. That was a joke.
Oh, no. I highly valued the bit with Merle. What Merle's converted back to the globe, as I understand it. Well,
Well,
yeah. Did you not hear his tone shift? Because he went from being disclaimed by Stacey as an ex-flat earther, now on the Glober, trolling Discord, that sort of thing, to him stressing to me the importance of this. There's 8 billion people been deceived, Nathan. You've got to get this. You've got to understand the importance of this. You've got a lot of responsibility. That was his attitude at the end. You haven't listened to the bit with Merle. It's epic.
Yeah, and if you can't tell him exactly what the Earth is, that and all the 8 million people or 8 billion people in the world, then everything you've done all these years means nothing.
yeah, Witsit said the same.
Yeah, but again, very useful.
Witsit said the same thing too. He said there's 8 million people that believe the Earth is a sphere. You may think it's a joke, but this is something like to that effect.
Yeah, he implied that we just treat it as a game. Whatever.
How is that even a response? Like, no shit. There's 8 billion people in the world. Okay, according to you, sure. Okay. And?
Well, he's stressing the importance of people knowing that they've been deceived in the case of Merle. Forget about the general appeal to consensus when it comes to our opponents. I'm talking about a generalised attitude that we as flat earthers should take. If our general attitude is, we prove Earth's measured flat, that's our starting point. That permeates through the audience when they hear the evidence of how that is the case. As opposed to, Earth is not a sphere. Here's how you have been deceived. What's that? You don't like that? Like any normal rational person doesn't like to be told that they're wrong. Well, you just don't have an open enough mind. Yeah, we're not going to get anywhere. We need to start just proving it's measured flat. Because then someone comes along and goes, oh, right, it's measured flat then. That's far more effective. It seems so obvious now I'm saying it. But there's a reason everyone within 4 days has got right behind me. And my wife's even coming in going, wow, a lot of people are getting encouraged by this. A lot of people are really responding to this. What you're actually doing is telling flat earthers to tell people it's measured flat. That seems so obvious. Yeah, it does, doesn't it, Paula? Seems really obvious that we as flat earthers should tell people that Earth's flat. But that is actually the message. Doesn't it seem stupid now I'm pointing it out to you? If you're listening to this going, well, I do that when I tell someone that you can't have a globe because of X, Y, and Z. No, you don't. You're an anti-flat. You're an anti-glober. That's what you actually are. If you want to claim yourself a flat earther, go to the extent of proving Earth's flat immediately. Back up your title.
Well, the funny
It's like they
thing
haven't
is,
progressed, Sean. That's what it is. And I was hoping you got in there and told them how you were directly converted because of measurements.
John?
Yes.
Can you? Well, I nipped to the loo. Can you regale us with that story, John?
yeah, sure. I've always understood that measurement, right? That measurement dictates reality, or the physical world, right? If you don't have measurement, you don't have anything. And I was raised under the belief that I was actually measuring curvature with the dip angle, right? So when the geometric horizon Earth curve was debunked, I didn't have a measurement anymore. So all there was what I observed. And that everybody observes it's flat.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't revert back to. No, we never claimed there's a geometric horizon.
Well, that's zealotry. That's the only way, like y'all just say that's just zealotry. Because
yeah, but that's that fork in the road, right? Like you took one way, and the other guys took another way. They took the way of look, bendy cranes and refraction, and we never claimed the geometric horizon. And look, there's 7 horizons and all the other crap they've told us all these years, right? You were just like, oh shit, look, that's not what I thought it was. Okay,
Just the other thing.
Well, I never understood.
Just one more thing, just to address Neil, because he said that Merle wasn't particularly useful. He was incredibly useful, and the other thing he was useful for was his objection, based on a heliocentric idea that you can have a universe that's beyond the ball. And with that example, I was able to take him to a place that I've used Dave Weiss typically up until now for the example that's been badly portrayed by Dave Weiss, as in the aliens beyond the ice wall, as opposed to the ground that we can show has been mapped and charted flat, and how we didn't have new worlds and now we do. And that is the literal expansion of the territory that we know. That could be described as our known universe, because beyond that, we don't have charted territory. Therefore, the charted territory we know, our known universe, is what we have. That is what it is. So when he says, well, we don't know what's beyond that, it's like, well, you're only conceptualizing it beyond that because of a heliocentric world with a sky vacuum and vast light years of distance between these planets that are also soil. So that's an idea that has only come from that Merle objected to when he asked us to tell us what's beyond, what's out there. It's like, well, I can only show you the progression through history of how we have found new worlds in outer space. And for anybody who's new listening, outer space being the area beyond the horizon prior to the globe locking everything down. New worlds were found in outer space, and that was us charting new territories beyond the horizon that we hadn't been to before. We called them new worlds. That is how it is. That's easy to show through history. Some of the people listening are listening on those new worlds. So that is fact that people can get behind and understand without any speculation. If you want to go into aliens, you have to contextualize it as people coming from the new worlds to your home country and you describing them as aliens, because that's what we did have and still do. It's not far enough back in history that they duped us into being on a ball to lock down the entire world and stop the expansion that is detailed in that description. Not speculation about the bloody ice wall and what might be the aliens beyond that. Because that's just a red herring. Stick to what we know and can show the expansion of our known universe. Show how we explored outer space and show how we did find new worlds. You're living on one of them. So that came from Merle to Neil. So several things that were useful for his objectionable position. Very useful. Same for the guy who was a Bev Earther.
Just found it
very
nonsensical.
useful. Go on, sorry, I'm done.
Nah, I just
Sounds
found it
like-
nonsensical. Sorry.
Sounds
What,
like you had
Peter?
many adventures. Sorry, Chocolate. Sounds like you've had many adventures into the land of misfit toys.
Yeah, set us
The
up
land
there
of
and then
misfit
leave.
toys. Right. What? Now you can
Good,
explain that.
General.
What's that mean then?
The land of misfit toys. That's what the Jane Fonda server is. All the misfit toys are there.
Wasn't just me.
The general let us in and abandoned us.
I think. What the heck are you talking about?
The general let us in and then left to go fix his bow.
Yeah, and that's a good rendition of history. Thank you. All right, can we move on from that?
We can, yeah. There's absolutely no obligation for you to be here, or you, Neil, or anybody. None of the panel or Discord server are under any obligation whatsoever.
And
No,
fix it. I did. Just in case you wanted to know,
What, you fixed your bow?
I did.
What was wrong with it?
Had a hairline fracture in one of the limbs, so I had to start all over with new limbs and then start the whole process all over again. So
What a bummer.
yeah, it's fun to do it. I enjoy doing it.
Did we have
So can we move on from that?
Well, I was going to say, did we have a video that
Reminds me of Trigger's broom.
Want to get coming in? Was that Paul?
Reminds me of Trigger's broom, you know, on Only Fools and Horses. He's had the broom for years. He's only changed the handle and hit a few times.
That actually spans from some really old Greek philosophy. Did you know that?
No, but it doesn't surprise me.
There's an idea, a notion that if you take an old warship and over time entropic effects would mean that you would have to replace parts of the ship. So as time progresses, more and more bits of the ship get taken off. Now, if you imagine, obviously in reality, you're just going to discard those bits, but if you took each of the bits off as they wore and then recreated the original ship with the original parts, is it the original ship? Because the original ship is the one with all the men on that's been maintained over time, even though it's strictly speaking Trigger's broom and every bit of it's been replaced. So it's a philosophical concept to understand the notion of... So let's go ahead, John.
The boat of Theseus.
The boat of Theseus. There you go. That's Trigger's broom. If you're unfamiliar with Trigger's broom, Trigger is a road sweeper in a series called Only Fools and Horses. And what he would do is sweep the road with a broom, and the broom has got obviously a head and a handle, or a stick and a bristle, whatever you want to call the two bits. And he's like, I've had this broom forever. It's really good. I've replaced the handle 15 times and the head 12 times. Really reliable broom, this. Obviously, you all found that hysterically funny, which is wonderful. We all love Only Fools
I think he's stuck in Witsit.
Well, there's that stems from I think it's Socrates, where he says, is the chair your perception of the chair, or is chair the physical object in which you ascribe the meaning of that word to it? So, you can make anything into a chair, but what is an ideal chair in your mind?
An Ecorn stressless navigator. Obviously.
All this from getting my bow fixed. Amazing.
Anywho.
It's philosophy.
Yes, it is. The other useful bit was the Bev Earther.
I'd like to bring up something about that.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly the topic I was going to bring up.
What, my bow?
Yes,
no,
yes, your bow. Absolutely, Brian's very into it.
The bow. Trigger's broom is the best. When Paul said that, I started laughing to myself. Your bow is Trigger's broom. When you
I left you a couple pictures in Master B just in case, because you're all so interested in it.
Hold me back. I'll put them on screen. So this is your... What is this? Is this the place you go shooting, or is this your home?
Nah, bow shop closed up shop here in my town, so I had to take it down to Springfield, Missouri. And that's a bow shop down there, so I helped those guys. They did a lot of work to it, but I had to make sure everything was correct.
And what are these things? These like straight horizontal things in the light background? What are they?
Straight horizontal things in the background.
Yeah. Like orangey-ish color, very long.
The ones that are going vertical, like black and orange.
Yeah, what are they?
Those are called my bowstrings and cables.
No. I mean the wood behind. Fascinating, really beautiful color. Anyway, that was really interesting. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It looks like cedar.
Cedar. Wow, nice, very nice wood.
Very nice place.
Very nice. Anyway, fascinating.
How's this related?
I have something to bring up there about the guy who was bringing up elevations yesterday. I listened back to some of the show last night because I wasn't there for that. And this is a misunderstanding, right, that people have. When someone says the earth is flat, you're not making a geometric plane. You're describing the earth. It's like if someone says the earth is round. Round is a description. That's not a geometric plane either. So when you're saying the earth is flat and someone says, there's elevation changes, that means they don't understand the term flat. They don't understand that you're just describing it. If you say the earth is a horizontal plane, then technically they can say, well, there's elevation changes, so it's, because a horizontal plane is something that's geometric. No, horizontal plane is going to be described as flat. A vertical plane, it will be described as flat. But there are no particular orientations. If you just make as a claim or as a statement, right, of fact, the earth is flat, this nonsense about, we have elevation changes, that means the person is in a category error and doesn't know what they're talking about. Now, I've said this to Bev in comments, not as an argument. I just said it to him, and he was warm towards it. He said, "Yeah, I can see your point." Because if I'm not making them, if I say the Earth is flat, right, I'm talking about the overall aspect of the Earth is flat, right? I am describing the Earth, the aspect of the Earth, right? Nobody can draw you a flat. People can draw you a circle and say that will be geometric, and you can describe it as flat. People can draw you a triangle and describe it as flat, a square, whatever, but you can only describe it as flat. My table can be described as flat. My kitchen floor can be described as flat. If you take the full of the latitude and longitude grid, and you look at the size of Mount Everest in relation to that, and I'm using Mount Everest because it's the highest point above mean sea level that I'm aware of, then it's less than half the height of a human hair. Now, there's more undulations than that on your table, which you can't say that calling your table flat is an incorrect description. If I'm saying the Earth is round and it's obviously flat, then that's an incorrect description, or vice versa. But you can only say the description is incorrect. You can't hold someone to a geometric claim. So when people are out there doing this, I think a lot of these people that actually do follow Bev aren't listening to him. Like, if I said to Bev the Earth is flat, and he started saying, well, we have elevation changes, I can correct him and say, hang on, flat's a description. You can't hold me to a geometric standard of flat. It's only a description. If you're saying the description is wrong, then you've got to show how the description is wrong. There's no point in it. You can't say, oh, we have an elevation change. If I say that the Earth is a horizontal plane, then I'm making a geometric claim, and then someone can say, well, we have elevation changes. So you're wrong to say, specifically wrong, to say the Earth is a horizontal plane.
Yeah, like a survey would describe it. Like a survey
Sorry.
would describe it if they were going to be asked about what they were doing and how they were doing it, and they were to describe the world, they would describe it as flat. Now, interestingly, Bev went up to a surveyor and did just that, asked him about what he was doing and how he was doing it, and he said, yeah, it's just flat. Now, Michael Kahn, who's in the Rumble chat currently, published that video, and Bev assumed that Michael Kahn had got it from some secret Discord stash of videos that Bev keeps that he's got access to somehow. Michael Kahn, this is. Actually, Paul, you do a show with Michael, don't you?
Yep. Flat Earth Chat and soon to be His Word is Truth on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. UK.
What's that on? Is that on Rumble?
It will be on Rumble, YouTube, and a few other places if we can manage to work it out.
Okay, so His Word is Truth, right?
7 p.m. UK.
Yep.
Way to go with that. There's no conflict there.
No. I wouldn't have thought so.
I've said the same thing to people who've conflicted with my shows constantly, as Flatsoid does. So what? Loads of choice is not a bad thing. Being able to swap and watch two different channels is not a bad thing at all. Doesn't mean he's robbing your audience. There's more than enough audience to go around. Trust me.
I'm not concerned about the audience. I just made the point.
Yeah, there's always going to be conflicts, unfortunately. It's just the way these things work out. You just have to ignore that. Or at least my attitude as a YouTuber is I can't concern myself with where other people go live or where other people publish. I've got a schedule. I'm going to keep my schedule. If you happen to start a new schedule on top of mine, it's not on my channel. It's your bag. There's only so many hours in a day.
I'm not starting schedules. I'm starting new schedules. Schedule, not schedules.
Schedule.
Number one.
Schedule.
So,
Like in a shed. You know, like in your shed.
Yeah, take them to the woodshed. So
take them to your wood schedule.
It was a triumphant entry into the land of misfit toys.
I think so, yeah.
If you would have been there, you would have known.
I think so, yeah. You can hear it. It'll come out on, I'm going to say Monday of next week on the second channel.
I searched for it yesterday, couldn't find it. Then I put a request in, and LVA Paul, the schedule guy, conflict schedule guy, he went ahead and gave it to me on Rumble. I couldn't find it on the land of
It's members only.
Thank you.
There's members only at the moment.
Oh, well, he let me have it, and I'm going through it. I'm about halfway through. I'm right when Shit's at 10 entered. The Pied Piper of the land of the misfit toys.
Well, I can say that the Piper's influence was affected by this because he had to say some really ignorant things. And I think people may have recognized that.
He said you establish a
No
plane.
way.
He said you establish a plane to the horizon. I'm like, what are you babbling about? You use the measurement of the horizon to establish a plane. But in his mind, he's drawing out a plane to the horizon arbitrarily. So in other words, when you listen back to how he's detailing it, it's pretty clear he doesn't understand how this stuff works. So I don't know if it was pre or post discussion. But I was.
You think?
Well, yeah, it's just we were trying to figure out why he would propose this, and I can't remember if it was post or pre, but either way, we speculated that he just doesn't understand the argument, therefore it's far easier to condemn it than to learn it. And that...
Oh. He's a pretender clown. He's a pretender clown. I heard him. I heard some of the things that he's... Not the whole thing, like I said. I'm just halfway through.
Well, it'll be released as...
I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Wasn't everything just ended, like I put in Ballbusters, with a very simple query. What was that query I mentioned?
Well, I did specifically detail the type of angle that an elevation angle was during the show. So while I didn't describe the specific definition of it, I clarified it enough. I'm just making excuses. Nobody asked him what an elevation angle was or how to define it.
I don't think so either, Nathan. I'm sorry.
Get lost.
I don't agree.
Yeah.
I actually had to turn it off when I heard you talking about it. I had to turn it off. I was at the reach of my limit. I'm sorry.
Let Brian have his objection. Fine. Go ahead, Brian.
We couldn't interrupt. I'm sorry. We couldn't interrupt because every time we tried to, Nathan got muted.
Yeah, no, that's not why. They used that as an excuse.
They just stick to the elevation. Okay, forget about the politics of it. What about the elevation angle? Wasn't covered in enough detail, or is it just
The
QE's
definition of it?
Is it just QE's point that nobody was asking them to define it, Brian?
Correct.
I have a little bit more than that, because when you spoke about it, look, don't take this the wrong way, right? I'm going to give you a third sandwich here. You're brilliant when it comes to debating ballers, debating people, listening to people, hearing the things they're doing. You're like super top of the tree there. But sometimes when you're detailing things, you're not giving all the specifics. So one of the little caveats, one of the things you said when it came to the elevation angle was that you said that you're not measuring a height, but you didn't specify in celestial navigation. Where for someone out there who doesn't know what you're talking about, they could look up and see elevation angle, and it's actually measuring a height, and they use trigonometry. So you didn't, for a lighthouse or for a building or whatever.
No, I totally take that on the chin. But what you're saying is you need the hyperspecificity of saying we're not trying to, in that example, establish the height of the sun with an elevation angle measurement in celestial navigation.
Well, what I would do in them circumstances is I'd start them at step one, which I'd start them at where did they first learn what 1 degree of angular change was as an Earth's distance. I start at the horizontal statute of Moyle, and that's what I start at. And I get to, so they found out that 69.04 of these horizontal statute of Moyles equated to 1 degree of angular change to Polaris. And then they just divided that by 60, which gave them a 1.158 ratio of nautical to statute of Moyles. So they needed a statute of Moyle first. So straight away, people then, because a lot of people when they hear nautical miles, they get confused. A lot of people don't understand what a nautical mile is. So when you break it down like that, I know you didn't have a lot of time and people were trying to talk over you, but when you break it down in that way, they start listening and they start taking in. Oh, hang on. So this started with a statute of Moyle, and that's a straight line. Yeah, it's always straight. Every inch is a straight line. Every foot is a straight line. And all those feet make up 1 statute of Moyle. And all those statute of Moyles make up 69.04 horizontal straight lines. So that's where I start them.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Apocryphon, did you?
That's a bit too far.
Hold on.
No, I don't think so.
Hold on.
It could have
Hello?
ended.
Can you hear me? Apocryphon,
I can't.
Did you want to add something? Apocryphon. Buckrathon.
Oh, he's preaching again.
John, it's just hot miking, and I don't want him to get server muted because then he can't take part in the conversation. He obviously can't hear me appealing to him, so yeah, fine. Server mute him. Can you hear us, Buckrathon?
My bad, Nathan.
No worries. Just don't want you to not
was,
be involved in the conversation just because you're hot miking and someone's server muted you. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Brian.
no worries.
Just to, look, I'll take whatever criticism in a moment. Just let me finish my point. The point I'm making is...
Buckrathon, can you mute? Can you mute locally so you can unmute if you want to talk? Thank you. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, the point I'm making is you're teaching people there's a horizontal distance that you're measuring. And you're teaching people the difference between a statute and a nautical mile. And then you preface that you're using an elevation angle, which is defined as a right angle triangle. The horizontal line always has to go underneath the object, whether it be the top of a building or a star or anything. But you're not using a trigonometric function. This is why I'm bringing up the statute mile thing, because you're then teaching them that you're not using a trigonometric function. You're teaching them that's the difference. With a building, you'll use a trigonometric function to determine a height of a building based off of a distance, or a distance based off of a height, blah, 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 using a right angle triangle, which would be an elevation angle. But with celestial navigation, you're specifically only dealing with a horizontal measurement. You're not using trigonometry. And that's
Right.
where,
When did that?
Well,
Yeah, we can't- I can't hear
just
anything
reiterate Brian's
Brian's
point.
saying.
Let me just before you all jump in.
Oh,
It's
brother.
Adam's been saying this as well. You've got to be hyper specific. It is the process of celestial navigation. When Brian says it's not trigonometric, no, it's celestial navigation. He's right. His critique of me is to say you didn't specifically detail. You're not getting the height of the sun in that particular debate with celestial navigation. Go ahead, QE.
That's 10 miles down the road. How can you be 10 miles down the road when no one's defined what an elevation angle is yet in the land of misfit toys? I'm way back in the beginning. Maybe this happened down the line. I didn't hear it. I'm talking about in the beginning.
Yeah, but my issue with that is that when people look up the definition of an elevation angle, one of the things they start finding out is that trigonometry, it's used that the right angle triangle that is an elevation angle, that they use trigonometry with it. And people then can't understand how you're not using a height of the celestial body, because you're not using trigonometry. That's why I start with the statute mile.
No. There is no trigger. As soon as somebody says right angle triangle, my definitions in it don't have right angle triangle, I don't think.
Want to hear a few of mine?
Go ahead.
The altitude angle, sometimes referred to as solar elevation angle, describes how the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. What am I getting interrupted for? What's going on?
I'm just saying that's the ding 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 ding. That's when the professor starts pounding on the damn table. The horizontal plane. Yeah, one.
Not just it doesn't just say the horizontal plane. You cut off the end. The angle is measured between.
I know it just doesn't say that. That's the important part, though. My God.
Just try once more. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have more to add.
Oh, brother.
Well, I'll just give a couple more definitions, then you can. I'll just pick out a couple more, Brian, and then you can do it. Measurement of the elevation angle. Elevation angle. The last one was sustainable by design, by the way. This one's retardatorial, if I'm saying that right. Measurement of an elevation angle. Elevation angle is the angle between the horizontal plane and the line of sight measured in the vertical plane. The reference direction, i.e. an elevation angle of 0 degrees, is a horizontal line in the direction of the horizon. Pretty clear.
Yeah. That I'm just saying in the beginning of the discussion, no one knew that, because you got Pretender Clown shits at 10. He doesn't know what it is, and neither does anyone in the land of misfit toys. So when they started, well, you're not actually measuring, a horizon, a flat earth, then you can't do an elevation angle. You can't. not only in celestial navigation, you can't do one, period, based on the definition. I thought this was already established like 3 years ago.
Right. My caveats there now, my issues there is that in celestial navigation, you're not just using one. Well, the angle you're taking is not just one right angle triangle. That's your elevation angle. You have a second zenith angle, which is a second right angle triangle. Opposite, in the opposite way to the elevation.
How did they get the first one?
I know, leave me finish. Instead of shouting at me, leave me finish. Right? When you're using an elevation angle, whether it be in surveying or with a sextant looking at a lighthouse, whatever it is, you are using trigonometry. Right? You will be using trigonometry when you're doing something terrestrial. When you're doing something celestial, right, you won't be using trigonometry.
But I understand.
Hang on. Let me get to the crescendo. They are always a right angle triangle. The right angle part will be at the GP.
And they're all colored pink too.
Oh, everything backing it up. If the right angle part is at the GP, and you're at the other angle at the horizontal, then it's a horizontal.
Can you not annoy Brian while he's got a frog in his throat, please?
But it was a horizontal to begin with in the definition of elevation angle, just one angle. Why would that change?
Because
and
the
there's a
polar
horizon.
Or is that chocolate?
And there's a horizon, which you wouldn't have globe anyway.
Nathan, are you doing a stream? Oh man, are you guys doing a stream at the moment? I've just come over to try to clarify something with the room and show respect and not start any apple cart bullshit.
Number one,
just
yes, we
actually
are.
be able to talk
That's
to you
what
guys.
I do here, Space Monkey. But what did you want to clarify?
I just wanted to clarify what Stacey B said about my position, if that's okay.
Sure.
So I'm not a heliocentrist. I think over the years we've all unpacked it, and it's ridiculous on multiple levels. I have issues just with the model of a flat Earth, like say the cartoon one that we didn't seem to even design. I don't even know where it came from, that meme, but of just like this world with a dome over the top of it. So I just don't think that's what the Earth is, personally.
Neither do we.
And I have issues with that. And so
So
there's
do
sort
we.
of like a
So do we. We stand
Right.
in direct contravention of people like Dave Weiss, who punt the azimuthal equidistant projection as though it's the world that we actually stand upon. We would describe that as a reification fallacy. Furthermore, they've taken that map and put a physical sun at a physical distance above it, moving around it when they have no idea what the sun is. So I wouldn't stand by any of those claims that typical flat earthers are either strawmanned with or regurgitate from the feast of nonsense. So we would agree with you.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's because we're in the public arena and if we were able to speak privately, but I just us being all human, and I know we've got to be unbiased and objective as we can be and logical. I know the way to solve this, but because we've got to remove our emotional aspect and be as honest as we can be. But I think we've all got speculation privately about what the F's going on. And I just guess when you've got an objective inquiry, that isn't always the place for speculation, I know. But I just felt in last night's setting that if we could offer, because I don't know, that's just what I'm seeing unfold, Nathan, that this flat earth truth, if you will, affects so many things for people, and you can see it's turning people's lives upside down. And I think a way to ground it is because it seems a lot of people are coming out with like a religious kind of leaning that, you know, if we're in a creation, there has to be some kind of creator. And I know a lot of people don't want to talk about that because it always gets religious. But that does seem to be where all this leads. So I don't know. I know it's a big thing to say, but and I know. And the last thing I'll say is, I can feel sometimes on you. There's an expectation, you know, for you. I heard Chocolate say before, all the years of the debates and all the information that's come forward hasn't been wasted. I mean, no disrespect on that level. I just personally have arrived at that point where I just realised I didn't know what the Earth was. I know the parameters of it. I know what we've been told about it. But I'm still left with more question marks. And it's just been tough for me because I reached that point a couple of years ago.
Okay, well,
And so I appreciate it.
Okay, Mel, I might have to disappoint you, which is to say there's going to be a lot of things that we don't have answers for. And many of our arguments that we put forth start with us prefacing that we don't know. For example, like I just gave, what the sun is to start modelling it, for example. But if you're looking for answers where you had them previously from the globe, we don't have them.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Respect.
Moro,
That's great.
Moro,
That's
Just one more thing, Chocolate. Just one more thing.
It's
Sorry, Chocolate. Just one more thing. But there is something we do have, and that's proof that Earth's measured flat. Go on, Chocolate.
No, that's basically what I was going to say. Is that look, I feel you, right? I understand exactly what you're saying. That you've got questions, and you're saying that, you know, for some people, having those questions unanswered turns their lives upside down, something like that. You know, I can understand that. I had to come to terms with that years ago, where I had to realize there are some things I'm just not going to have the answers to. There's going to be that mystery, and I'm okay with that, right? But at the end of the day, it's what Nathan just said. It's just measured flat. It's just a measurement. It's just the ground. It doesn't have to be religious, right? When Globers will tell me, flat Earth is like a religious type of thing. But hold on. The ground that we live on, that's not religious. That's just the ground. And we're just measuring it so that we can live on it and navigate across it. That's it. So I have to become this heavy religious thing that bothers people like that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel you. I have the same questions, a lot of them, but I'm all right with that.
And with that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 on YouTube or Nathan Oakley Premiering Stream on YouTube, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live on either Rumble or YouTube, then this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you tuned in, smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and all that good stuff. Of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on an after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!